My first attempt at making a cheesecake as a young bride was a disaster. I thought I was following the recipe, but nothing came out right. It was only when I discovered pre-made graham cracker crusts that making a cheesecake became easier for me. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an almost foolproof and delicious cheesecake. To make this cheesecake, you'll start with a large mixing bowl, 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 3 beaten eggs, and a graham cracker crust. For the sour cream topping, you'll need 8 ounces of sour cream, another teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. I've added my sugar and my vanilla. You want to beat this mixture and get it nice and smooth before we beat in the eggs. You want to beat your eggs before you add them to the cream cheese mixture. Thanks to an accidental discovery by a dairyman in upstate New York, cream cheese was invented at the turn of the century. By 1929, it was being used by Jewish delicatessens to make what became known as New York cheesecake. Cheesecakes were only available in New York at delicatessens. By the 1950s, the recipes started appearing in cookbooks, and so we're lucky enough today that we are able to make our own cheesecakes at home. Our eggs and cream cheese are nicely mixed together, but you can see there's a lot of air bubbles in here, and this is what's going to cause your cheesecake to crack. I'd have to say you're going to need to expect to have your cheesecake crack, but you can help it along by just slamming your bowl down a few times before you fill your pie crust. Before we fill our graham cracker crust, I'm going to stir this up one more time, making sure that the lumps are out of it. And I can see that there are still a few air bubbles, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to give it one more slam. And now we're ready to fill the pie crust. This will go into a preheated oven at 325 degrees for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I'll take it out and add the sour cream topping, reduce the heat, and return it to the oven for an additional 10 minutes of baking time. With my 8-ounce container of sour cream, I'm going to stir it all around together, and I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of sugar and my 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and continue to mix this and then put it aside. And this will be our topping for our cheesecake after it's baked. Cheesecake can be traced back to the ancient Greeks when it was served to the athletes during the first Olympic Games in 776 BC. But it was a far cry from what we know of cheesecakes today. The Greeks actually made their cheesecake out of ground up cheese mixed with honey and flour and then baked. But its origins do go all the way back to the Greeks. Our cheesecake looks beautiful. It does have a crack in it. It's really next to impossible to get a cheesecake not to crack. So I'm bringing it out of the oven, and now it'll be time to add our sour cream topping. I've reduced the temperature of the oven to 300, from 325 to 300. After I spread this sour cream topping on top of the cheesecake, it'll go back in the oven for 10 minutes at 300. The beauty of the topping is it'll hide any mistake you have. This crack is not going to show after it's finished baking, and it will have absolutely no bearing on how this beautiful cheesecake tastes. Be generous with your topping. 8 ounces is a lot. I always like to go back into the center, kind of swirl it around. You're on a tray, so if it overflows a little bit, you won't cause too much damage to your oven. And just put that last glob right in the middle. There's our oven telling us it's now at 300. Time to go back in the oven.